Hey team, this is Casey.
And this is Shannon, and you're listening to 8 Count Breakdown.
You're home for all things college dance all in one place.
So, college dance has gone viral the past few years, literally.
Routines from UDA Nationals have millions of viewers, dancers, and non-dancers alike. They've sparked TikTok trends and earned shoutouts from major media outlets and even the governor of Minnesota himself.
But what happens when a tight knit, small world community suddenly has millions of eyes on it? Today, we're breaking down college dance's rise to social media fame, how it's opened new doors, created new challenges, and completely changed the way we see these athletes.
So is this the spotlight that college dance has been waiting for, or one that it has to survive? All right, let's rewind to where all of this started. The routines that lit up TikTok, racked up millions of views, and made college dance really hard to ignore.
UDA Nationals has always been a staple in the college dance world, but recently it's become a mainstream phenomenon. Thanks to TikTok and viral dance clips, dances that once only lived within the walls of Disney's ESPN Wide World of Sports are now trending across the globe.
So we're going to start today's episode by breaking down some of the dances that went viral and made college dance. And I invented a new word while prepping for this podcast, virality. I don't know. I need to look it up. Is that a real word?
Probably not, but it is now.
For the purpose of this episode, it's a real word. Definition has gone viral. So we want to take it back and talk about some of the dances that really started. We started to see dance become more of a pop culture thing. The first dance that I could find that really went viral was LSU's 2022 Like a Boy. So Like a Boy was choreographed by Carson Rowe and Sammy McFadden of Tribe 99, reached millions of viewers on TikTok and YouTube. It was reported on by CBS News, People, and ESPN. And the dance was incredible. Outside of the message, it was such a great dance, so well choreographed. Some absolutely iconic choreography was so dynamic. Just so many visuals, ripples. I love a ripple. You will come to know that
Casey loves a ripple.
But they had absolutely iconic moves, and the whole persona that they put on as a team of women, they were doing moves that are typically considered more masculine, and they all put on this persona to fit the theme.
And I think that's one of the cool things about, and probably the reason why this went so viral, is because of the storytelling as well. And I think it was a message that was very big and still is very big of women not getting the same respect, maybe the same opportunities that men are. And so I think that's very relatable to so many people outside of the dance world, that's why they could connect with it too. And just seeing that dance isn't just fluffy moves, it's storytelling, it's art. There's so much more to it.
Totally. And the backstory, LSU wasn't allowed to compete in 2021. This was the first UDA Nationals since the COVID outbreak. The 2020 Nationals were able to happen because it was in January of 2020 before the world shut down in March. So 2021 was actually delayed. I think we looked and it was April. So LSU wasn't allowed to compete, and they were given changing reasons every time they'd meet about it. The first reason was because of COVID restrictions, but they were later given a different reason, that there weren't enough athletic trainers to go with them to nationals. They couldn't really get a straight answer of why. It's really interesting that they weren't allowed to compete because they still have to follow all the other student athlete rules and restrictions at the university, which are including attending 10 plus hours of rehearsal per week and maintaining a minimum GPA, even though the NCAA does not recognize dance as a sport. But still, dancers have to follow the student athlete restrictions.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. They were also expected to cheer on the sidelines at other team sporting events. So basketball, football, and even some of their national championships. They could go to other teams' national championships, but couldn't attend their own.
So just calling out the double standard there.
Yeah. And this was recognized by a large portion of the dance community. And Sammy McFadden, who has been their choreographer, and she's an alumni of the program, she started a petition that got over 27,000 signatures to try and urge the university to allow the team to go and compete at nationals, but they weren't able to get enough signatures in time. And unfortunately, nationals came and went and they weren't able to attend. So 2022 is their big comeback year after not being allowed to participate the year before. So the theme of Like a Boy, it kind of calls out the differences, what's considered in society okay for men, but not okay for women. And that's kind of what they did here with the dance. And I think that that really struck a chord with a lot of people. LSU wasn't the only team that wasn't allowed to compete in 2021. There were dozens of others. So within the dance community, definitely it resonated with a lot of teams when they came and they performed and didn't just do an amazing dance. They also told a story.
And I think they were doing it on behalf of the whole dance community. Like, they knew it wasn't just for themselves. It wasn't just their university. It was so many other teams. And this performance was like the entire dance community coming together, supporting LSU, LSU supporting them, and just being like, this isn't fair.
Yeah, calling out inequities, and especially with the NCAA not considering dance a sport, but still expecting that dancers follow all of the restrictions that other student athletes also have to do. It feels a little backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that dancers are student athletes. I
Yeah,
believe
they
that
are.
dance
Yeah.
is a sport, that dancers are athletes. A dance that I'm going to talk about next, case in point, and every dance ever.
Yeah.
But this dance was so much bigger than that. And like you said, the dance community came together to call out these inequities. And I feel like the dance community coming together then started spreading to non-dancers, and non-dancers were starting to realize, okay, I see what's going on here. And I think that contributed a lot to the virality.
There it is.
There it is. I used it. The virality of this routine. And yes, their showmanship, their choreography, their timing, everything was wonderful.
Yeah, beyond that, it was
so much more.
changing the culture of dance.
Yeah. This feels like so long ago, but it
Yeah, it
also
does.
doesn't at the same
No,
time.
it feels like it was 45 years ago.
Yeah. When I was doing my research and I found the petition again,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my gosh, I signed this. I forgot about
Yeah,
this. And
yeah.
I remember that they weren't able to compete in 2021. And I just remember like how big that felt and how
Mhm.
infuriated I was for them. Also, being a dancer and understanding that we don't get a lot of the respect that we deserve sometimes. And my heart went out to them. And LSU is always such a powerhouse team. So, like, it was felt. Their absence was felt.
And I felt like they used their platform because they were the perfect people to send that message and for so many people to hear it. And I remember Sammy McFadden, I mean, she really was the driver of this change, I feel like. Being an alumni of the team, she was very outspoken about how wrong this was. And I remember her doing interviews. I remember her posting. She had every right to be angry about what happened.
Somebody had to speak up.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes it's hard when you're on the team to be the one to speak up. So it's gonna mean a lot when an alumni of your program speaks up on your behalf and kind of calls it out, because when you're in a program, it's hard.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's consequences.
There can be, for sure.
And you just have to be brave enough to push through that. It takes a lot of courage. A lot of courage.
Yeah. And actually, when I was reading some of the articles that have come out since, Sammy McFadden and Carson Rowe both apparently were continuously calling each other while choreographing like a boy after they decided that this is what we were going to do. We were going to send a message, and just constantly going back and forth, like, is this the right thing to do? Are we doing the right thing? Are we taking too big of a risk here? And they still felt passionate about it and still continued forward with it. And I 100% think it was the right call. I think it was so needed.
And I think it's easy to say that after the fact, like, that it made a huge impact, that it went viral, that it changed college dance forever. But in the moment, I'm sure that was a very difficult decision. Also, being their choreographers, they're holding this team's future in their hands.
Totally.
And so I feel like that's a lot of pressure that they were feeling. They weren't just thinking of themselves in that moment. They were also thinking of all the dancers that they were choreographing for and beyond. And so I give them a lot of props for really spending the time to think through that, and they made the right call. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the dancers committed to it fully. Like, you could see it in you could see their souls come through in that dance.
Yeah.
You could just see the passion on their faces that they wanted to tell this story, that this was important to them. And at the end of the day, with the choreography, with the athleticism, with all the wonderful things that dance has, plus the storytelling that they did on the floor, but also the message that they were sending, all contributed to why this dance was so big. So, like Boy really changed how people saw college dance. It wasn't just another cool routine. It made people care about the sport. And the next time we saw a team do those numbers was Minnesota's Dream On. And they kind of carried that torch into the next stage of people realizing that dance is is a sport
Mhm.
that non-dancers are realizing. These are real athletes. So Dream On, University of Minnesota 2024 was actually self-choreographed by the team, which is,
That's crazy.
I think most of these teams bring in outside choreographers.
And professional years and years of experience. I mean, all of these dancers have been dancing since they were babies. So I'm not saying they don't have experience, but I just feel like I want to make sure non-dancers especially know how difficult it is to choreograph a nationals routine.
Mhm.
Like that is just, it's unreal that they did that themselves.
And they said it took a long time.
Yeah.
You know, usually
Oh, yeah.
choreography, they learn it in a weekend and then they work on it for the rest of the year. But this took weeks to months of constantly trying different things and getting approval by the coaches. And it's extremely difficult to choreograph a routine like that. And
And
for it to be the magnitude that it was
yeah.
is just incredible. And I think that they, as a team, knew what they could do and how they wanted to push themselves that year. And that's exactly what they did with this dance.
And how special for the dancers to like put their own work out on that floor.
Yeah. And the song was actually done by the 2004 team, who was the first team to bring back a back-to-back jazz championship home and the first team to be double natty champs for the University of Minnesota. So the 2004 team was a historical team for the University of Minnesota dance team. So this song was the one that they performed that year for jazz. So the 2024 team, 20 years later, is now paying tribute with a self-choreographed routine. So the impact of this routine is just, again, like LSU's, it's so much more than just the dance itself. Some specific standout moments in this dance were Matthew Greco's front flip into his turn set in the beginning. Just incredible athleticism for you to be spinning in the air, center yourself, and then start turning
And also
again.
going backwards, doing a front flip on a dance floor that has absolutely zero spring. Standing front flip. Like that is crazy.
The power that that takes from a person is just crazy.
And then to have the control to stay in one spot on those turns immediately after that. Yeah.
And then later on in the dance, the full team turn set into the aerial and then they continued turning. That is so disorienting. Like you are already spotting in your turns, finding one spot and just looking at it over and over again. And then you're finding a new spot in your aerial and they landed to the back and
On
had
one
to
foot.
do
On one foot.
on one foot, continued turning, and they opened and immediately turned
To change their spot.
and changed their spot to get back to the front. Changing where you're looking and changing your spot several times.
And like changing where your momentum is going and like recentering yourself like 3 times.
The athleticism is crazy. And I think that the world realized that. I think dancers, we know how difficult turns are alone and an aerial is
acro.
alone.
Yeah.
But to combine them together is just.
And I'm glad that people realize that because U of M makes it look easy.
They do.
They made it look effortless. That's why sometimes like dances get overlooked. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
It's like, no, our jobs as dancers is to make the choreography look easy. I think this is the first time people are realizing like, oh,
Yeah.
that's hard. So this dance reached over 1 million views on the team's TikTok, but millions more across YouTube and then also Rouse Productions, who's a local Minnesota photographer and videographer. And there will be the same video on multiple people's accounts. We don't know what the culmination of all of these posts is, but it's in the millions. But this dance and their stories were featured on ABC, CBS, and Good Morning America. Sophia Headland, according to Good Morning America, she said non-dancer classmates around the campus were like saying that they had seen it, which was just really cool. And I think we're now starting to see, because of TikTok, that non-dancers are getting involved in the dance community. Professors were playing it in class to show.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Yeah. I just think that that's so wonderful, though, for the professors and their classmates, their non-dancing classmates, to have such pride in their organization, because the U of M dance team is probably one of Minnesota's winningest teams.
They are, hands down.
Like, it's not even close.
Yeah.
They have so many national championships. It's really special, especially as Minnesotans, to see such pride. taken in one of our sports teams. But even the governor of Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz, he declared April 24th of 2024 University of Minnesota Dance Team Day. And the team was invited to the governor's residence and kind of got to celebrate their win with him and hear him say how well they represented the state and the university, and just
Getting the recognition they deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, the fact that a jazz dance did these kind of numbers is crazy, because the crowd pleasers are going to be hip hop and pop more. Like, it's more like the upbeat, like fun, big smiles on their faces. And jazz can have upbeat songs, but I feel like jazz tends to be the more storytelling of the three. Personally, I don't think it just went viral because it was a great dance. I think it went viral because it changed the way people saw a dance because of the athleticism that these dancers had.
Yeah, and like, you see football players, you see basketball players, you see other athletes exhibit the strength on their own. You don't see them do it synchronized in the way that the dance team displayed their athleticism.
It's easy to see the strength of football players when they're running as fast as they can to go and grab the catch. It's easy to see it on hockey players when they're skating as fast as they can down to get to the puck, or basketball players when they go up and dunk. Like, you see their strength, but like dancers,
they have to control their strength
and look good. And like have all the technique,
poise and
pointed toes, straight knees, extending,
all the details,
everything, keeping your shoulders back. There's so many things that go into it. You watch football and you watch people blocking and people tackling, and you're like, that looks hard. Like, I can't do. But dancers, it's supposed to look easy. And U of M did just that, making non-dancers realize how physically elite dancers are. And I think this dance helped kind of dismantle the idea that dance is supposed to be pretty and elegant, and, you know, they showcased power, control, strength, stamina, all of it.
And I think kind of going back to LSU's Like a Boy performance and how that changed kind of the equity in between dance and other sports, it was just another moment of a dance getting the recognition that if a male-dominated sport achieved what the U of M dance team did there, they would be naturally getting that recognition. And I feel like now this was kind of a piggyback off of LSU. LSU made that change in order for U of M to get that recognition. Like a boy walked, so Dream On could run.
Yeah. And what's even cooler is that Dream On, the University of Minnesota, wasn't the only dance that was occupying people's For You pages that year. Ohio, also another jazz dance with My Way in 2024. They were also taking up space on the timelines. And this time it wasn't about the athleticism, it was about the artistry. I mean, this dance was just a piece of art. I've been watching it again in preparation for this episode, and it still gives me chills. So this dance reached, at the time, around 5 million views. Now it's over 7 million. And I mean, still growing. Like I said, for LSU, that one was in the millions, and same with Dream On. But this one started with 5 million when it was first being reported, which is significant. So this one was more of a theatrical kind of storytelling. They received praise for the emotion. And I personally appreciate how the dance gave moments for the dancers to sort of feel the storyline that was going on. And they weren't just athletes or dancers at the moment. Like, they were actors. It was almost cinematic.
Yeah. That's a great way to describe it.
Even for people that didn't understand the storyline, like me, I'm someone that's like, I need this explained to me. They were able to appreciate it too without understanding the story. Everybody, just all the comments are chills, it's giving me chills. It was covered by AOL and Yahoo News and local Columbus outlets. And the dance kind of sparked this wide controversy about athleticism versus artistry. I think we saw a lot of conversations happening about what sort of takes precedence, artistry or athleticism. I mean, we'll dive into that later, but the university celebrated the team's success across their official channels and sharing interviews and behind the scenes footage. And so many TikTok users were inspired by this dance to recreate all the moves. And in preparation, I went back and was looking at some of the comments, and there are comments showing that people are regularly going to watch this. This happened almost 2 years ago. This dance was performed almost 2 years ago.
And people are still going back to watch it on TikTok?
Yes. The most recent that I saw was like October of 2025.
Wow.
And so many people are commenting from this year, like, okay, so we're all still hung up on this dance. Somebody said, "Help, I'm still at the restaurant," which is a Taylor Swift song reference.
You would know that.
Yeah, I would know that. And then another one said My Roman Empire. Do you know that
Yes,
reference?
I do.
Okay. So there might be times where I mention old trends that Shannon doesn't know.
I'm
That's
just so
going to be a
everybody
running
knows,
theme.
I am not on social media that much. I don't even have TikTok downloaded. So I always have to watch it on her phone if I'm going to watch a
Yep.
TikTok. So I'm usually not very up to date on the
Yeah.
most current
So
happenings. I'm stuck in 2008.
that'll be a running theme. I love it. But just some of these comments of people just are still hung up on this dance is crazy. And so many comments that are like, I'm not even a dancer, but something with this dance just feels perfect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the
Yeah.
compliment.
And have you seen the up close video of the performance that
No.
Ohio posted? Oh my gosh. You need to watch it because
Okay.
like I love watching the whole dance as a whole, but specifically watching them up close. Like we've said it, it's a major storytelling dance. They weren't just dancers and athletes, they were actors, and you can see it on their faces and you can see every little change in the story that something changes in their like persona and
Oh.
just you can see that they're putting their souls into that dance. I reshared it on TikTok and I'll also put it in the show notes. So if you haven't seen it, go find the link and go watch it because you see the dance in a whole different way and it gives me chills.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I feel like all three of these dances have gone viral for different reasons. And I feel like it's just helping show all the different sides of dance, the storytelling, the athleticism, the emotion, like the artistry, just all of it. It's really cool to see not just one team go viral year after year, and be like just popular, but dance in general is becoming more widespread and more mainstream for every aspect of it.
Yeah.
Not just,
I mean,
yeah.
everybody always knows who the Super Bowl winner is.
Right.
Right? I mean, maybe not everybody, but many people know, even if they're not followers of the sport, they'll go to Super Bowl parties and at least know who won. And now I feel like dance is starting to be talked about in the same way. And it's really special to see. But actually, there is one team that's had a little repeat viral moment. LSU in
Oh,
2020,
yes.
was it
Yes.
2024 with Smooth Criminal?
Yep.
This is crazy. Are you ready for these numbers? 18.2 million. 18.2
Are you
million
serious?
on one video. And that's at Dance Vids Official on TikTok. And then on a second video by Robbie Shaw, 9.2 million.
Holy buckets.
And that's not all the posts combined. These are just these two. That's
Wow,
crazy.
that is.
Like the previous dances I've been saying are in the millions, 5 million, 7 million, 18.2 million people. This was an incredibly viral dance. And we already kind of touched on LSU a little bit, so I'm not going to dive too much into this one, but this one was choreographed by Tribe 99. And so many people recreated this dance. And that's like, I think part of what made it so viral. Like Michael Jackson is somebody we all know, and he has such iconic, recognizable moves, and they did those in this dance. So I think people saw that and recognized that and saw it as fun and something that they could do. Not everybody can go and recreate the U of M turns, but anybody can go and recreate some Michael Jackson moves.
But I was also going to say, not everybody can do it like LSU. It is very hard, I feel like, to pull off Michael Jackson's moves well, especially in a full team setting.
Yep. And they every single one of them committed to the bit.
They are insanely talented to be able to basically embody Michael Jackson and the way that he moved.
Even these recreations that were happening on TikTok are in the millions of views. The LSU dancers themselves were sharing videos of themselves just like in little duets or trios with their teammates in costume. There's one, I didn't write down the girl's but I'll reshare it on TikTok. Her personal video on her personal page got 8.8 million views.
Wow.
And then Dancing with the Stars pros, Riley and Brandon, also recreated it, which is so cool because it's reaching like professionals in the dance world, and so many people are recreating that. And that kind of leads me into what I want to talk about next, and it's some of the trends that are following these dances. Millions of videos emerged with hashtag UDA Nationals and hashtag college dance. Dancers and non-dancers alike were recreating iconic moves from all four dances, especially with Smooth Criminal, because I think it's just such a recognizable dance. And if you recreated any of these moves or any moves from any UDA dances the last few years, please share them with us. We'd love to watch them. Tag us. If you see any, let us know. But even other teams were recreating moves from teams that they compete against. There's a video that Ohio posted recreating Smooth Criminal.
Oh, I love that.
So it's just so special.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is now wanting to be a part of it,
Mhm.
which is so fun. And another one, so many dancers were inspired after Minnesota's. I forgot to talk about their 540, their full team 540.
I forgot about that too.
Oh, okay. I'm
Rewind.
never even gonna attempt it. I'm washed up now, but like, holy crap, that's hard to do. And it inspired so many dancers. Like, yes, so many dancers tried their iconic turns into the aerial, but so many other dancers were like, okay, now I need to get my 540. Because people look up to these dancers, they want to do what they do. Oh, no, their 540 was in 2025. Okay, I didn't miss it. Cool.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that again.
Yeah. We're gonna get off of this this
Literally watch
recording, and we're gonna watch
everything
all of
7
these.
more times.
And actually, user Riley Wendinger, sorry if I butchered that, but she shared a really hilarious and wonderful TikTok. I think there were several parts. I don't remember how many parts. She labeled it UDA Spark Notes
Yeah.
for 2025 and posted iconic moves from like all the dances. She posted like a first part and did like, of course, Ohio and Minnesota. But then people in the comments were like, do Michigan,
Oh.
and like giving her other teams to recreate
I love
like
that.
iconic moves from. So it's in our reshares if you want to go find it. So all of these trends are coming from dance becoming bigger on social media. And another iconic team, Savannah Bananas,
Mhm.
they actually invited LSU after their 2024 Smooth Criminal to perform at one of their games.
Cool.
And in 2024, I think just the pitcher recreated U of M's turns
Yes, I saw
into
that.
the aerial. And
Yep.
then in 2025, Savannah Bananas and Party Animals were here in St. Paul, Minnesota, and they invited the U of M dance team to come and do a section of their 2025 POM. So, like, this is getting bigger
Yeah.
than just the dance community. If the Savannah's Bananas are doing it, it's a pop culture reference.
Phenomenon.
Yeah. And all in all, dance becoming bigger, having a bigger audience now has created this sort of community and this sort of following for even the individuals. Now the individuals are creating day in my lives and behind the scenes of what goes on in their team, or even just sharing what they're working on in the studio personally or just about themselves. And they're creating sort of their own individual brands while also still representing the team. And it's giving them a bigger platform to do so. Everyone's sort of getting a front row seat, not only into the team and the dances that are being created, but also the dancers and the athletes themselves. But with all this new exposure comes an added layer of pressure.
Yeah. Next, we want to talk about kind of what that looks like, the pros and the cons, because there are so many pros to dance becoming bigger, more mainstream, going viral, non-dancers becoming a part of the dance community. It's amazing to watch. And there's also some challenges to that. Definitely the pros are, number one, social media has created a bigger fan base for dance in general, not just college dance, but just dance in general. I feel like it's being accessed by more people now that TikTok is a thing. One of the main things that TikTok has brought is viral dances, short clips. More people want to dance that maybe didn't grow up dancing because it's the cool thing to do now. That's what's in pop culture right now is creating dances on these social media platforms. And so it's cool to see that it has taken cheer and dance off of the sidelines and just being entertainment for other non-dance sports is what dancers have historically been viewed as, not athletes themselves. So that's what all of these viral dances have given dancers the opportunity to be seen for what they truly are, which is athletes, and that they've been doing this since they were 2. It's not just something that they're picking up, in college because
They're not just a sideline attraction
They're not.
anymore.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say anymore.
Yeah.
Like, dancers have always had their own entity,
Yes.
but now they're finally getting the
Now people are
recognition.
watching it. People are watching their sport, what they do best. They're not watching the other sport and then going and getting concessions while the dance team is doing their thing. So
I've seen so many videos recently of people going to Minnesota games or Ohio games and being like, why is the football being played before and after the dance team's performance? Or
like the
I'm
hats,
just here.
I'm just here for the dancers.
Yes, I'm just here for the dancers. I'm just here for the cheerleaders.
Yep.
A lot of that emerging, which is so fun to see.
So fun. The other thing, which you kind of touched on, was just TikTok and social media in general being a way for dancers to connect individually and building their platforms as an individual. People knowing their names. They're not just a person on such and such team anymore. They are Matthew Greco. They are Ava Wagner. People know these names. And that is again, just giving them the recognition that they deserve. People know the quarterback's name on football teams. That's like widespread knowledge. And
Even if you don't know football, you know who Aaron Rodgers is.
exactly, exactly. And that in turn then increases the fan base of dance in general, right? If you're creating a bigger fan base on an individual basis, that is multiplying the number of fans for your team.
Mhm.
If each dancer on that team has additional fans that are now your team's fans, it's just,
Mhm.
it's exponential. And that's why I think we're seeing this growth too, is because of those platforms that each individual dancer is creating for themselves.
Yeah, and it's growing the sport too.
Yeah.
We tried out for our professional team because we saw people with similar paths as us. So now these college athletes are showing who they are as people, and other dancers and non-dancers can see themselves in these athletes and think like, I want to do that too, and
And
go
I
and pursue that.
and I can do that
Yeah,
because
they did it.
yeah, they
Yeah.
did it and now I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, a lot of work goes into it. You can't just go and do it, but like
Right.
they feel like they can see themselves in these people because they're being personable on their social media.
And they're showing the sides of themselves that people can connect to.
Mhm.
I think sometimes people watch these dances and you're like, holy buckets, I can't do that. That's impossible. But they didn't get there overnight. There's so much more to them. And there's so much work behind the scenes that's put into that in order to get to that place. And so them being able to share that
Yeah.
and to show young dancers that the things that they're doing right now, that's exactly where these college dancers were at
They're
when they
human.
were your age, right? So that is really cool to see.
Mhm.
Another amazing thing that we're seeing with this growth in the fan base of dance as a sport is, again, kind of on an individual basis, the opportunities that it's creating for these dancers. We're seeing as they graduate, and sometimes even before they graduate, they are starting to get swept up by talent agencies. They are working with increasingly more famous choreographers. It's just really cool to see
Mhm.
kind of that growth. And I feel like it's only just beginning. I feel like this has been within the past just year or two that we're
Mhm.
starting to see the opportunities grow for dancers as they graduate or before they graduate, now that more people know their names and more people want to know their names. I think that's the coolest part too, is people who hold their futures in their hand, their future opportunities in their hands. They want to know who these people are,
Mhm.
right? And so it's just cool to see, especially college dance specifically, again, getting the recognition they deserve, getting the opportunities that they have always deserved that are
Mhm.
now coming around to them. So now to talk about some of the challenges that come with that, you had mentioned the pressure that comes, especially with social media and dancers just having a lot more attention on them. Videos, information spreads faster. I think a lot of times that pressure can be seen as being so afraid to make a mistake because of how quickly that can spread and how held up they are, especially some of those like top 3 teams that consistently get top 3. There's so much pressure to maintain that. And now that so many more eyes are on them, it just increases that pressure tenfold.
Yeah.
And so that can be hard.
If one person's off in their timing, the internet sleuths are gonna hop
Yeah.
online and
And
be
now
like,
people know their
I know
names.
exactly who that is.
Mhm.
That's such and such. It definitely creates an added pressure.
And I think that can take away the joy that I think dance is supposed to bring. And so that's kind of the sad side of all that attention and that
Yeah.
pressure. And we hope that all those dancers know that everyone is here to support them. But I know that that can be hard. Another thing is the loss of privacy. So now that they're building their own brand, representing themselves and their team, there's more eyes on them. These dancers are young and there's a lot of learning that happens in college. I think everyone who's been through college knows that everyone's made mistakes, especially in college when you're figuring things out on your own for the first time. I think that can be hard. We haven't seen this yet. We haven't
No.
seen anyone that are on these teams. We haven't seen them make a mistake and that blow up, but I think they're recognizable in public now. And so I think that adds a layer of pressure to, and most of it is the good kind of pressure, right? Like think twice before you make a decision because now you're representing
Yeah.
a brand and a team. That's the good kind of pressure, but I think it also adds maybe a more difficult pressure that is, oh, maybe I shouldn't do any of those things that you should
Yeah.
experience in college and you should be able to make mistakes. That's the way that we learn and grow.
There's so many other ways to be young and dumb other than the stereotypical, like when you go to college, crazy things happen. There's so many other mistakes that can get made. You post the wrong
Exactly.
word, like you have a
Exactly.
typo and it's suddenly twisted into something that you didn't intend. And
now you
like
feel
there's
like your image is gone. You've tainted the image or brand of your team.
because you're so you're on such a public platform that
Yeah, or even
you
just,
can't
like,
make a
going out
little.
in public and
Yeah.
people knowing you and watching your every move.
You have to be careful who you associate with
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
because if you go to a sporting event with your friend that's a loose cannon, that's going to reflect on you. You have to think about so many things
Mhm.
other than just the stereotypical college events.
Yeah, yeah, and kind of going back to that social media pressure of more people watching you and being afraid to make a mistake, just being part of this really successful team, having all that success and having all those eyes on you. We talked to somebody on the U of M dance team, and they mentioned that as a challenge, that it is hard to feel all that pressure and to still perform to the best of your ability,
It's
like,
hard not
with
to
the
go look
weight
at the
of that.
comments.
Yes.
When I post something that's totally not serious on TikTok, my TikTok is public and I go through the comments to see who thought it was funny. And you have this desire to go and look at the comments, but once you reach a certain threshold of how many people are watching and commenting, you almost can't do that because you're going to scroll and see something that is going to hurt you. And
And that's the last challenge that we want to talk about is kind of the comments and the discourse that is now created with so many more viewers. There's a lot more people commenting and not all of those comments are positive. And I feel like this is the one thing that we have the power to control and to
yeah.
change. And, we can't control the pressure that the attention brings, but we can control what we're commenting. We're seeing a lot of, like, especially post UDA nationals, a lot of this dance shouldn't have won. The other dance was better,
hmm
XYZ. And it's just not helpful. I think Dream On is the perfect example of a way that you can support a team that didn't win
hmm
in a positive way without tearing down anyone.
You're right.
Both teams won in that, right? In
Yeah.
that scenario, one team got first place and took home that trophy
hmm
and got all the attention that they deserved. And the other team, people were sharing that, right? Saying, look at how amazing this is.
hmm
That's all positive, right?
Yeah.
Dream On didn't get the attention because of people tearing down Ohio's dance. They got the
Right.
attention because people were like, look at how amazing this is,
Right.
regardless of what place they got.
And that was
And
a
so I
really
think,
hard year for the judges to choose.
oh,
Like,
I do
I
not envy
I do not
them
envy them.
in the least. But I just think it's a good reminder that you can support who you love, the team that you thought was amazing. You can support them and spread that love without tearing down anybody else. And so I think people just need to have that little second check before they post something.
Filter.
Yeah, just think twice before you post something. Is
Yep.
this positive? Is this supportive?
Yep.
If it's not, delete it.
There's
Don't
so
even post
many
it. Yeah.
phrases growing up that we grew up with. If you can't say something nice,
Yeah,
don't
don't
say
say it at
anything at
all.
all.
Yeah.
Or the golden rule, if you wouldn't want it said to you, don't say it to anybody else. And I
And
mean,
I'm hopeful that by people creating these individual platforms and by the world seeing that
mm,
these dancers are real people and
mhm,
they are, like you said, probably reading the comments, you're talking to a real human. I know sometimes it doesn't feel that way when you're behind a screen, but
mhm.
these are real young athletes that you're talking to. So just remember that when you're posting. So I think another thing just to remember is that even if a dance won that maybe you didn't connect with, that's how dance evolves when we have these dances that come along that are different than all the other ones. That's the really cool thing about this sport is it's constantly evolving, constantly changing, and we wouldn't want dance to look the same as it did back in the
No,
90s, right? So
right.
I think it's just a good reminder that just because it doesn't connect with you doesn't mean it doesn't deserve first place. So at the end of the day, social media has changed college dance forever, mostly for the better, but it's up to all of us to protect that space.
Yeah, that was very, very beautifully put. I love
Thank you.
that. Yeah, at the end of the day, dance is meant to unite and inspire us and not divide us. And the visibility that UDA and college dance has gained is something the community has dreamed of for years. Finally, the recognition. I mean, it all started with LSU's Like a Boy calling out the discrepancies that are going on. And now dance is finally getting the recognition and the visibility that it deserves. While it doesn't come without challenges, it's also opened the door for amazing opportunities for recognition, representation, and respect for dancers as real, true athletes.
So let's continue to celebrate these teams for what they are hardworking, talented athletes putting their hearts on the floor every year. Let's focus on less comparing and more on appreciating how far this sport has come.
The sport has come so far, and it's been so fun to watch.
I think watching dances, like I was talking about how we wouldn't want to like dance to stay the same.
Mm.
I think it's so fun. My favorite thing to do is watch a dance from 2000 and then 2005 and then 2010 and just see how much it has changed and evolved
Mhm.
over the years. And it's thanks to all of these dancers, choreographers, teams pushing themselves pushing the boundaries of dance and
fans driving the sport further.
exactly. I think we talked about this in the last episode, how just open and welcoming the dance community is.
Yeah,
Like, we love
always.
all of these people joining us here. It doesn't matter if you're a dancer or non-dancer,
No,
just a
yeah.
fan. Like, you are welcome here, and we are so glad that you're here.
Yeah.
And let's follow this and lift these athletes up together.
But with that,
Thanks for breaking down dance and pop culture with us.
to stay on beat with all things college dance, make sure you're following us on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads.
And please subscribe on Spotify and YouTube and leave us a quick review. It really helps more people discover the show.
You can find links to all the routines we mentioned in today's episode: LSU's Smooth Criminal, Minnesota's Dream On, Ohio State's My Way, and LSU's Like a Boy right in the show notes and in our reshares on TikTok.
Today's episode of 8 Count Breakdown was written and produced by Casey Rush and Shannon Hill. Edited by our team.
Information referenced in this episode was compiled from Good Morning America, CBS News, and the Wildcat Chronicle. We'll catch you right back here next time for all things college dance. This has been
8 Count Breakdown.